all to another level. Talking about the weekend to manage money.
What the great resignation is showing is that people are no longer willing to put up.
Yes. What would you say that you've seen that are the prerequisite, for successful employee advocacy? Obviously, somebody who is coming to a work where he doesn't like what he's doing is never going to be an advocate, right? So there surely has to have some prerequisite of some kind of culture or some kind of way that, need to happen before even thinking of this employee advocacy program. I'm just laughing because I'm just thinking of an organization that I proposed to come and train their people. They say, whoa, no, because we are not ready yet, because their culture is not ready for this thing. So from your perspective, what would you say is the prerequisites?
Yeah, it's really simple. There's two prerequisites. The first is content. And content, not just any content. Do you have content that is share worthy, right? And the quick test for that is, if you're the marketing director or whatever, would you share it, right? Because if the answer is no, then you've got a content problem, right? So content is one, culture is two. You have content and culture, employee advocacy works great. And the interesting thing for me is in my previous business, all of our clients were known brands, right? They were Samsungs and people like that you knew. Our clients in Disseminate, I know who they are now, but some of our clients have 30, 40,000 people in their company, and I've never heard of them prior to them being a client because they work in oil and gas or they work in mining and minerals, and I don't work in that industry. And then you look up the company and they're huge, and you look at their content and I don't understand any of it because I don't work in that sector. But when they start running their program, it performs insanely well. And you think, well, that's quite crazy. I never heard of this company, but they're dominating employee advocacy. And then you can have a company that I've heard of, right? So, I won't name names, but companies I've heard of that everyone knows, and their employee advocacy program doesn't work because their content's all about them, right? So it will be like, a good example is, we're really excited to announce the release of our X1258 product that has feature 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you can download the brochure here. That's the content. And then the culture in the company is, Glassdoor rating of 2 out of 5. Everyone wants to leave. So you think, even though you're a really well-known brand, you've got terrible content, terrible culture. So actually the probability of you succeeding in employee advocacy is quite low. So it's really, as if I was speaking directly to a marketer, I would say, how happy are you right now? Because if you're happy in the company and it's generally a good vibe and the content you're producing is good, then you've got a huge success probability with employee advocacy.
But there may be some prerequisites. What would you say will be some of the prerequisites that you'll see that, people will be much more happy when the organization has some of those to get out there and really become brand ambassador for their company outside of the organization?
Yeah, so I will say first, before you become a brand ambassador for the company, you definitely want to make sure that you're clearing it with the company first, because not all companies want their employees being ambassadors. That's why they have a marketing department. And here in the States, a lot of people have gotten fired from their companies because of the things that they put on social media. So you have to be very careful with that relationship. If that's something that you want to do. Me personally, I'm not an ambassador for any company that I work for. I'm just not going to do that. But some people love where they work and they really want to promote it, and that's fine. But again, just make sure that that's something that your company wants, and if they want you doing it. Now, when it comes to being an ambassador, companies should allow employees to promote the things that mean the most to them when it comes to the company. Everyone's experience at the company isn't going to be the same. So if you have an employee who's really passionate about business resource groups, so that's where you see a lot of D&I work happening. And if they want to be an ambassador for that segment of the company, then they should be allowed to do that. You don't want someone to be a jack of all trades. People should really promote the things about the company that they like. If you work for a company that has really great benefits, travel benefits or whatever, and you're someone who really likes to travel, and that's what you want to promote, then let that be your brand. And I have people at my company who have branded their LinkedIn after our company, with the logos and the colors and all that stuff, because they really like that. But it is important to remember that your LinkedIn page is your page. It doesn't belong to your employer. They don't get to tell you what you can or can't post, as long as it's not racist or crazy or anything like that. But certainly, and then companies should support that. Because when it comes to recruiting, as somebody who's worked in this industry, the best way to get people is word of mouth. So companies can do whatever they want to do to promote themselves, but people are more willing to listen to other employees or former employees talk about the company. And if they're saying, hey, this is a great company to work for, I really love being here, or I love working there, people are more willing to respond to that. So there's a balance that companies need to have with that.
Definitely. This is what I was explaining to one guy last time, where he was saying, what will be some of the benefits of managers, for example, to be on social media? Say, really, if somebody wants to join your team, if you are active on social media and they see you, they can learn a little bit more about you and see you as somebody they want to work with, that is much more that is positive, actually, to attract talent that way. Because if they don't know who you are, they might not know who, but if they love what you do, they say, oh wow, I'd love to go and work with this person, actually. So
that's actually when you're talking about managers and all that, I actually coming back from the question of what's the prerequisites and so forth, and people are worried about management, I always advise them, well, why don't you do the 3-minute C-level test? And then they, of course, say, what's that, Michael? You go to your CEO and you take your computer and you show him the latest post you've done on your LinkedIn company page. And then you tell him, hi, Carl or Linda, whatever his or her name is, would you like to share this on your LinkedIn profile? 99.9% of them will say, yes, of course. All right, please do so. They share it. And then you say, that's cool. Why did you do that? And then they say, well, then people can see our latest post on LinkedIn and maybe they can click on it. And I know all that, let's say. And then the third point, you say, would you like for all our employees to do that as well? Yes, of course. End of story. So that's the C-level test, right?
Hey, what if they see guy doesn't share? So
if he doesn't want to share it,
and then he say, no, certainly not. I don't want any employee to be sharing anything. They should be doing their work rather than just playing on social media.
Then you should wait. Then you should wait with employee advocacy until you have a new CEO, I would say.
Can you tell something about that, actually, how to develop managers?
Yeah, I think one of the things that companies can really do is to invest again in manager capability building. And it has been, in my experience, that sometimes managers will get a manager position, not because they are a good people leader and they have strong qualities, but it's because they have been very strong individual contributors in that space. And
that's the Peterization, right?
Yeah, exactly. So being a strong individual contributor in a particular area does not necessarily mean that you'll be a great manager of a team and of that person. It takes development over time. It takes practice and support and learning how to build genuine and authentic relationships with people. It's learning how to flex your natural or your more dominant leadership style to support the people on your team who may need something different. It's, when I think about development and performance in general, managers spend about 210 hours a year on performance management activities and processes. And what that means is that they're having one-on-one meetings with their teams. They're having team calls. They're thinking about ways to develop and promote and provide experiences and opportunities for their team and making decisions with and for their team. And I don't know, I actually can't think of an organization at this moment that does this very well. And it's really important that companies have strong talent management and development programs for that reason, to be able to give training to the managers, those who lead people in the organization, just as it's equally important to make sure that you have technology and tools that facilitate that learning and facilitate that process.
What would be your advice to leaders who want to start on this journey? Let's say that there is a boss who has never thought that they can start to empower their employees. What is your advice to them? Where should they start?
For me, it is very important, again, when you want to build a strong corporation, it's people who are making it strong, So if your employees are not very well skilled, if they are not skillful for making your company strong, it won't become strong. You alone, you can't do it. Yeah. That's why you need employees. You need people even who are better than you in their area. So for me, they don't have to be fear about training their employees. They don't have to fear employees who are smarter than them. I think that is very important. Have to be confident. You are the boss, fine, but now leave the floor for those who can lead you from one step to the top one. Otherwise, you stay at the same place, being your small boss, and people are going far, and you are still at the same place. So that, for me, you don't have to fear people. You need even to learn from them. You have to chat with them. You have to be concerned about their let's say living condition. It's very important. That's why I think you are not, it's not a waste of money or time when you are empowering your employees by capacity building. We have to do it more. We need people to feel at home when they are working with you.
What would you say is, the advice for leaders that you may have if people are quite interested to actually start creating a culture of kindness? So where people obviously love to come and love what they do and become also their best ambassador, which is the theme of this season. Any advice for leaders who are interested? Where can they start?
So I would say it starts with themselves,
yeah,
and how they behave and what they believe is important. So really, if they don't believe in this and it's not important to them, it's very difficult to get other people to start creating a culture around any topic. Now we're talking specifically about kindness. And I would say that to begin by being kinder to themselves and others, by starting to listen more to themselves. So paying attention to themselves as well as to other people. So this sounds really simple, but perhaps this is, we remember when someone really sees us and hears us and gives us some attention. I think we don't forget that kind of experience unless it's like negative kind of attention. So my advice to leaders is to keep it simple. To see if they can pay attention to how they can be less distracting to their employees. So put their phone away, don't look at your screen. Maybe have an environment with less distractions and really give somebody like 1 minute or 5 minutes of attention and listen.
That will go a long way. My gosh, if a leader will come and give a 1 minute attention to everybody, I'm sure they will remember that, definitely.
And an employee would definitely become an ambassador, because it's how do we feel? So really, can we listen without having all these questions and judgment? So it's a really difficult practice that I think nobody can really do, like, you know. So it's good to be honest, but it's good to try.
Right. Yes.
So really listen, see what this person is telling you. And then the compassionate thing would be, if somebody's suffering, asking, how can I help you? And they give you an answer, and maybe you can't help with that, but there's something else. But even just asking the question, it doesn't mean you have to solve their whole problems. Just listen and see how you can help, or maybe somebody else can help, or maybe the listening is enough. And it helps you to think about this person slightly differently and see how you can help them to do a good job in the workplace. Because at one point, we're all going to go through difficulties in our life. Every human. So I would say in this fast-paced world, instead of scrolling, stop, look, and listen, almost as you would cross the lights, you know.
Yeah, love that. Stop, look, and listen. So what is your advice, Fatima, to leaders who want to best use AI in their organization to harness the power of their employees? Any advice?
I think they need to invest more on the reinforcement of human resources skills, and because we need to have this common understanding of how and for what we are using AI. We need to keep this human control on AI, and to save human creativity, as we said before. Especially now with this global debate around Industry 5.0, with human-centered and technology also, and this how organizations are trying to create this balance between the profit from one side using AI and human rights and sustainable development from the other, in the other side. So I think for that we need to keep this human control on AI, and to invest more on our interactions with technologies, with these advanced technologies.
So what would you think that from your experience, companies need to consider for their employees to, obviously, one, love working for them, and second, to become their best brand ambassadors?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and it's very relevant at the moment because we're seeing an unprecedented number of restructures and redundancies. So a lot of people are losing their jobs at the moment. So the single most important thing that a company can do is to treat their people the same way that they do on the first day that they start in the organization, and the same way on their last day. Because people never forget how they were made redundant, or how they were communicated to, what support they were given. And we know that companies are really facing difficult times at the moment. So how you treat people when they leave says so much more about the organization than when they start. It's really, really crucial that organizations are really living their values from the first day that an employee starts all the way to their last day. And that's where we see the difference.
And yes, so, and that is so true, actually. You know, the exit strategy has to be, it's have to match, you know, not because I always say something that they are leaving the house, but they don't leave the family. And then when they leave, they can still become your brand ambassador when they're outside, and actually refer people back if they had a great experience. So, and inside, how, you know, before they leave, let's suppose that they are not leaving yet and they are in the organization. What are some of the things that the, you know, employers can really offer those employees to really feel that they are at home where they are and be their brand ambassador as well?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple of things. First of all, we know that we hear that the two main reasons why people leave an organization is one, not feeling like they have a great relationship with their manager or challenges with their managers. So I think there's a huge opportunity to upskill managers, and the command and control approach that perhaps was one fit for purpose is no longer fit for purpose today. So we need to help managers to have coaching conversations. We need to upskill managers to become coaches and to be able to help guide their teams to find the answers rather than, dictate or determine the answers for themselves. Mm-hmm. And then the second piece is really around helping people navigate their careers, showing people that you don't necessarily need to have a linear career, but you can expand your career within the organization in a I guess a non-traditional sense. So is that working for a project or a gig opportunity? Helping people to navigate their careers so they feel like there's a place for them is really important. And then a final thing to add is a sense of belonging. So helping people feel like they belong, and that all comes down to helping people feel like they're represented, they're included, and it's a fair and equitable workplace.